Right, we're back in the garden, 7-iron in hand. We're going to do a little bit of testing. I've got TrackMan all set up, nets set up. We're going to try and hit a couple of different trajectory of shots. So I'm going to try and stand further away from the golf ball, stand closer to the golf ball and see how that can change trajectory. It's hard to play a low stinger or a lower shot. It's hard to play a higher shot when you've got an obstacle to go over. So today we're going to have a look at that and think, how can we change the trajectory and the spin of a shot, or the launch angle, dynamic loft even. So that's what we'll do. So we'll look at if we can change trajectory, so the height of the ball flight and the loft presented at impact from just standing closer or further away from the golf ball. TrackMan's going to give us all the answers. This should be good fun. Guaranteed. Right, here we go. I've got 7-iron. 7-iron. I'm going to hit my first ball, so I'll hit 3 balls. I'll hit one with my normal trajectory first, so my normal distance from the golf ball. We're going to see how this plays. So when I stand further away from the golf ball, I'm expecting the trajectory to be up. When I stand closer to the golf ball, I'm expecting the trajectory to be lower. So normal distance from the golf ball, normal 7-iron for me. Here we go, let's see what height we get on the golf shot. So that to me was hit okay. Height was 94.4, launching at 22. We'll discuss this when we finish. When we finish this off, we'll look on TrackMan, we'll discuss all the figures, but right now I'll just hit a couple of balls, standing far away from the golf ball, closer to the golf ball, normal. That was normal, and the 7-iron reached 94 feet in the air. So now when I stand further away from the golf ball, so if I'm normally here, because my feet are open, normally stand there with right toe in line with red cane, that's my distance from the ball. At impact I'm pretty efficient, my hands are ahead of the golf ball, flat left wrist, taking a little bit of loft off. As I say, that launched at 22 degrees, but the loft on the club's 35 degrees, so there's a form of forward shaft lean, taking loft off as my natural shot. Now when I stand further away, so I'm going to stand further away from the golf ball this time, you can see there's a good couple of inches between red cane and my right toe, and that's going to promote a little bit more release. So I'm further away from the ball, so at impact I'm going to come in, the club head's going to outride the hands, just a fraction. There's going to be a little more of that going on and less of that motion going on. The further I stand away, as an example, I'm going to be stretching for it. There's going to be much more this action. If I stand too close, it's going to be more this action. You can see what that's going to do to the shaft. If I'm standing too close, I'm going to be more here. You can see how the loft will be taken off. Further away, stretching for it, I'm much more out here. Adding loft, let's see what happens. So there's normal distance, I'm standing further away now. I've moved maybe 1.5 club heads away. In fact, just 1 club head's probably enough. Yeah, there. As I say, I always stand open. I'm going to play the same shot, just trying to strike golf ball. I'm not really changing technique, I'm not trying to change technique, I'm just adapting to the fact that I'm standing further away from the ball. That flew a lot higher. Okay, so that action at impact, so more of this motion stretching for the golf ball has let the club head outride the hands. It's added a little bit more loft. A bit more loft's always been added dynamically through impact. Now I'm going to stand closer, it'll be interesting to see what happens here. Okay, so standing closer, so now let's see here. So now I'm not going to grip down the shaft because I'm standing closer, because that would be against what we're trying to do. So I'm still using the full length of the club. Here at impact, I mean, if I stand here, impact, I'm really having to pull the hands in towards the body so the club head makes contact with the golf ball. So therefore that is putting the shaft leaning forward more forward shaft lean, flatter left wrist and less loft on the golf club. So I've reduced the dynamic loft, it's easy for me to say, reduced the dynamic loft dramatically because I'm standing closer. So again we'll try and go 1 club head in. There. Same length of club, so I've moved in 1 club head, just over 1 club head, same as I was on the shot. I was further away. Go. and that seemed to fly lower. Okay, let's have a look at TrackMan, see what the numbers say. Right, there we go, so it'll be interesting to see what TrackMan says now. I've had a quick sneak peek at these numbers and it's interesting. Let's do this. So right, here we go. So my 7-iron, this one, has a loft, a standard loft on the face of 35 degrees. So it'll be interesting to see what I normally do. So my normal 7-iron shot there, you could see that the dynamic loft was 22 degrees. 22 degrees dynamic loft, so I've taken loft off there, my normal shot, my normal technique. And the height of the golf shot was 94.4 feet. So we're flying 94 feet with dynamic loft of 22 degrees. Then we tried to add loft, so we stood further away, we had one club head difference away from the golf ball, stood further away, and we can see now that we've added more loft on there. I was 22 degrees dynamic loft, I'm now 27 degrees dynamic loft, so I've added 5 degrees of loft to impact by standing further away. There was no change of technique, I was just standing further away. I was aware the club head is going to release more, which is going to add more loft. That's purely because I was stretching for the golf ball, but it's interesting, by standing further away, I can get the height up. So the height is now up at 109 feet from 94 feet. So 109 feet from 94 feet, so you can see a dramatic jump up in the height. With 7-iron, you can imagine what happens if you're doing this with a more lofted club, or any club, and dynamic loft was obviously increased. So then I stood closer to the golf ball, again one club head closer, to see what would happen there. I knew this was going to bring the handle closer to me, the shaft further forward, so therefore loft is going to be pulled off the golf club. Because I'm standing too close, because I kept the club shaft the same length as normal, I didn't grip down to compensate for that. And the number we got it down to 85. The height was 85, so standard 94. Standing further away, 109, and then standing closer, 85. 94 down to 85. Yes, I'm taking like 9 yards off that, 9 feet off that in trajectory, and the dynamic loft was 20 degrees. So you can see there, I've knocked 15 degrees of loft off the golf club. So standard, 22 degrees of loft, 94 feet. High ball, 27 degrees of loft, 109 feet. Low ball, 20 degrees of loft, 85 feet. So by standing closer or further away from the golf ball, it does change trajectory. Trajectory. Oh, I struggled with that word. I find that hard. So it just shows you, just by playing around with distance from the golf ball, so if you find you're hitting the ball too high, stand a little bit closer, just play around with it, get up to the range, get a bucket of balls, grab a 7-iron and see if you can move trajectory. If you can, at the end of our range we've got a row of trees so you can see where the ball is and height wise, so if you don't have a TrackMan you can certainly gauge against something. If you've got an electricity cable or something you can gauge the ball flight against just by standing further away from or closer to the golf ball. Don't try and change technique, just understand the fact that when you do that, this club head's going to pass the hands slightly to add the loft, or the hands are going to lead to get that forward shaft lean and keep the ball flight down. And all I did there was I set myself up in my garden, stood closer or further away from the golf ball, and TrackMan told me the numbers. Brilliant. Remember, while we're on this, if you can subscribe to the channel below, just a little click, honestly that would really help me out, I'm really needing that. Thumbs up, bell notification, all that carry on, go for it.